Story for us on the Hill. Our next guest has been very outspoken about these very issues. Jason Calacanis is an angel investor and tech insider, joins us live from San Francisco today. Jason, welcome back. It's been a while.
Thanks for having me.
Senator Manchin sort of called out these companies, said the CEOs should have been there. Was that a mistake?
Yeah, that was a huge strategic mistake on the part of Zuckerberg and, of course, Google and Twitter. It shows a complete lack of respect for the democracy that allowed them to receive tens of billions of dollars in wealth. In fact, Zuckerberg is on a 50-state tour, so he has time to visit 50 states and meet with farmers and cops and firefighters, but he doesn't have the time to go before the Senate and protect the democracy that has allowed him to succeed more than probably any other person in history in accumulating wealth from our democratic system. And in fact, adding to the insult is that he's in China right now trying to get Facebook and meeting with their president, trying to get Facebook in China. So obviously the growth of Facebook and making money is more important to Zuckerberg than to protecting the American democracy.
I'm curious. I mean, you've been very critical of Facebook and Mr. Zuckerberg himself. Yeah. These are your people. Why are you? Yeah. Why do you have this position?
Well, I'm an American more than I'm a technologist. First and foremost, we have to protect our democracy, and I think Zuckerberg has been very cavalier about it. In fact, he said he thought it was impossible and ridiculous to think that fake news would impact an election. Then they said that there was only 100,000 people impacted by Russian ads being placed on Facebook. Then, at this hearing, we hear that 120 million people were exposed to fake news, and now today they upped it again to 150 million. And during this testimony, I believe that the Facebook General Counsel actually lied or is completely uninformed about how their platform works. So it's very troubling to me as an American, and all Americans should be very troubled by Facebook's cavalier response to what is a very serious issue. And this transcends, anybody's holdings in technology companies or share price. This has to do with our democracy. And Facebook allows the 5 million advertisers to do essentially whatever they please on their platform while doing things like not letting competitors participate. So there's this grand lie that's occurring that Facebook is the best platform you could ever have for reaching people to sell products or to influence them, and the sales team is going out there with packets and marketing materials saying, let us help you win an election. And then Zuckerberg is lying to the American people and going on this phony 50-state tour and wants to run for office. If he wants to run for office, this is a perfect opportunity for him to take ownership of what his platform is capable of. And it's just an absolute disgrace that he didn't show up for this.
So do you think that these companies need to be more regulated, or frankly regulated at all, from here forward? And do you think that that's ultimately what's going to happen here?
I do believe that they need to be regulated, specifically Facebook, because they are taking no action to work on this issue, and they have a reach now that is colossal. We're talking about 2 billion people on the planet, and what Americans need to understand is not only can American companies buy American users on a very micro-targeted basis, other countries can buy American users on a micro-targeted basis. So yesterday when the Facebook General Counsel said to Kennedy, hey, listen, you can't micro-target me or any individuals, that was a bold-faced lie. Facebook allows you to target very small audiences with something called custom audiences. And they also allow retargeting. These are two keywords that the senators should focus on with Facebook specifically. What retargeting means is if you click a link and visit my webpage, I can then re-advertise to you over and over again. If you've bought something on Amazon and seen that advertisement over and over again across the web, that's retargeting. You can also upload lists of emails and target people by that. So Facebook is being completely dishonest, I think, during these. And also Google had a dishonest moment. When they said they weren't a media company, that was a bold-faced lie. If you look at YouTube, YouTube has studios where they record content. They underwrite the creation of content. They split revenue with content providers. And as we all know, they've set editorial standards for their content. PewDiePie, who is their #1 YouTuber, was sanctioned because he was doing some offensive material.
Right.
If you do all of those things, you're a content company. So to lie to the senators is just, it gives the American people and the political process and politicians the impression that technologists believe they're above the law.
I get your
and that's why this is all coming crashing down.
I get your sort of
patriotic. It's bad for the industry.
I get your patriotic stance on a lot of this, but what about from the investor perspective? Chamath Palihapitiya, who Social Capital, who I know, you know, I don't know if you know well, raised the issue regarding Facebook and Google as being regulatory, and those issues being the single most significant issue surrounding those two companies. How should investors be thinking about these stocks, given all of the noise around it? Can you separate being an investor from being a patriot?
Yeah, well, I think that these companies are going to have to take it more seriously, obviously, as we talked about, but they're the greatest investment you could ever make because they're marauding capitalists who don't care where the chips fall up until this point. And what we've seen from our government, from Obama and now to Trump, is that these companies are not going to be sanctioned by the U.S. government. They're going to allow to be they can run amok without any sanctions, and it's up to the EU. And the EU obviously gave a $2.4 billion fine to Google, and the EU will become the finer regulatory organization. But here in the United States, I doubt that we're going to regulate these companies. But this hearing does seem to be a tipping point. Right. This could be the moment where they tip. So I think it could be an existential crisis for them. We may not allow Facebook to buy the next WhatsApp or the next Instagram. In fact, I would say if those two acquisitions were being put up right now, they would be under serious scrutiny. So Google's not going to be able to buy the next YouTube.
I don't disagree with you that there will be more scrutiny. Are you, just before I let you go, are you a shareholder in any of these companies that you've criticized?
I have a balanced robo portfolio in Wealthfront. I don't know exactly what's in it. I assume these names are in it, but I don't trade them actively. The only thing I trade actively are private companies here in Silicon Valley where I have a huge advantage.
Understood. Jason, thanks for the time. Jason Calacanis joining us today.
He's an Uber investor, so that's like... I mean, I would have said this to his face. No, Jason, no offense. I have a lot of respect for you, but that's like suspect number one in terms of companies that don't care about the laws and the jurisdictions they deal in. But let's put that aside. Two things that make this not an existential crisis.
All right, Jason's still with us.
I'm glad you're back. Two reasons why. You say crashing down. Facebook's making a new all-time high, like, right this minute. And Google's not far away. So I'm not sure how anything's crashing down on them. I agree with all of your points. The big issue is that these people don't think of themselves as American companies. And a lot of their workforce are not Americans. So okay, so we agree on that. The other issue, though, you got a problem, you want to do a boycott, you got a problem with a company that you think is hiring with discrimination. All right, I'm not going to buy their chocolate bars anymore. I'm going to buy someone else's. Nobody is dropping their Instagram account or their Facebook obsession. Nobody's stopping using Google and going to Bing. These companies know it. They know it. So I don't see the crashing down part. Maybe you do. It's not happening.
I think it will have to be the regulators who do this. It will have to be a huge outcry. You're 100% correct that no consumer is going to give up Google. They have a monopoly position. No consumer is giving up Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. They have a monopoly position.
If you have Google Mail, Gmail, you're not switching your email address because you don't like what happened with Russian ads. I'm not.
And that is why this is such an important issue that the government, take into consideration, which is consumers are now locked into these platforms. It's essentially like the monopolies we used to have in phone companies or the monopolies, we see in transportation that come up from time to time. And that's why government intervention is going to happen here. But I think it's the arrogance of the CEOs of these companies that could wind up being their downfall. Do I think it's a 90% chance? Do I think the stocks are not worth earning? Of course not. I think it's a 5 or 10% chance that our government stands up to these companies, and I think it's a 100% chance that these companies are a great investment for the next 10 years. So I don't think that they're going to come crashing down, but I do think that they have to take a deep look in the mirror and ask themselves, are they Americans, and do they appreciate the opportunity they had here in America to build tremendous wealth, or are they proud of the fact that Russians can buy ads in rubles? Al Franken destroyed them yesterday. The fact that the general counsel of Facebook could not say, I will not take North Korean won, was the biggest embarrassment I've ever seen from a technology executive.
We gotta go, Jason.
And to your point about Uber, I think Uber's made a lot of changes, right? And so they're working on it.
I agree. And I hope things get better there. I agree.
All right, Jason, thank you.
And they are getting better.
We're back right after this.